Just ahead on CTV News tonight, the two suspects arrested for killing a toddler have their first appearance in court. Plus, educators rally for a voice at the table, and the people call for better rent control. All that and more next.
Good evening. I'm Patricia Vallone with a CTV News update. The two men who were arrested in connection with the shooting death of a toddler were arraigned today. Byron Scott is at the courthouse with more.
Both suspects were arraigned today and held on a no bond status. They are 33-year-old Israel Fuentes of Lewisdale and 28-year-old Johnny Alejandro Torcios, also of Lewisdale. Both are charged in connection with the shooting death of 2-year-old Jeremy Poo Caceres and the injuring of his mother, 17-year-old Rose Caceres. Now, the crime happened last Thursday night at around 5:30 on the 1400 block of Kanawha Street in Langley Park. A detective working in the area that night, police say, heard the shots and responded. Efforts to save the child, who just turned 2 last month, were unsuccessful. Now, investigators say the suspects were in a vehicle and firing towards a second group of individuals. Police say the suspects make that the victims were not the intended targets. Again, both men remain in custody on a no bond status. At the courthouse, Byron Scott, CTV News.
Thanks, Byron. And the race for Ben Cardin's Senate seat has gotten a little more interesting now that former Governor Larry Hogan has tossed his hat into the ring. There's word that Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell worked quietly to persuade Hogan to enter the race. In an interview with The Hill, McConnell says that he had conversations with Hogan. He called the former governor very, very popular and a boost for the GOP Senate ambitions. Now, Hogan left the governor's office with a 77% approval rating. Prince George's County Executive Angela Alsobrooks and Congressman David Trone are slugging it out for the Democratic nomination. Meantime, Alsobrooks releases the first ad of her campaign. In the spot, she highlights how she is different from the average United States senator. She also touts her record of getting things done and how she will fight for issues that matter to Marylanders, such as growing job opportunities, investing in education, and protecting abortion rights. Well, after a long battle to get unionized, educational professionals at a local community college celebrate an important step in their fight to improve the working environment of staff members. Full-time faculty at Prince George's Community College have officially created a union with the Maryland chapter of the American Federation of Teachers. Supporters, including Council Member Walla Blagay, rallied outside of the Performing Arts Building this afternoon. Organizers say the union will now have to elect a bargaining committee and then begin negotiations with the administration.
Faculty here on campus are extremely excited. They're extremely excited because they feel as though this is the only way to be able to have a say in what goes on here at the campus. We gathered signatures of well over 50% of the faculty. More about 72% of the faculty signed on, and because of that we went to something called card check, which means that we presented those cards directly to the state of Maryland, and we presented them to the labor board, and they have them, and they have recognized us as an organization now on our campus.
And Max says he expects bargaining between the administration and the union to be done fairly. Well, community college students, faculty, and administrators are expressing fears that state funding cuts will force colleges to raise tuition and major scholarships and freeze hiring. Now, the proposed cuts were presented by the governor last month and could slash funding for colleges by $22 million. While Moore says the cut is a necessary response to declining enrollment, school leaders disagree. Community colleges currently receive 29 cents for every dollar allocated to state schools. Cuts would bring that down to under 27 cents per dollar. Well, Prince George's County is seeking credit from Maryland for some tax revenues the school system already gets, but the school district says that amounts to a budget cut worth tens of millions of dollars, and the state prohibits local governments from cutting school funding. The county allocates more than 60% of its budget to schools. At a minimum, whatever was allocated the year before must be provided again. On top of that are new mandates under the Blueprint for Maryland's Future, which is straining county coffers. Now, School Superintendent Millard House says the credit could cost the school district $64 million. And you are watching CTV News. I'm Patricia Vallone. Coming up, county residents rally for permanent rent stabilization. We'll have more details after the break.
Well, I'm looking good. Thank you. Just became a real ID. What's the plan? Impromptu road trip? Actually, the plan is to fly to New York for today's product launch, and then visit the family in California and cap it off with a girls' weekend in New Orleans. You really can just do all that. Sure, I'm a real ID, so I'm good to board any domestic flight. Speaking of which, gotta fly. Nice. Enjoy. I'll be here.
Be your real ID self by May 7th, 2025. Find out how at tsa.gov/realid.
Welcome back. Well, Governor Moore announces two major investments to improve access to abortion care statewide. $5 million has been allocated to increase reimbursements for Medicaid providers for abortion care and reproductive services. Another $10.6 million grant will go to the University of Maryland, Baltimore to administer Maryland's abortion care clinical training program. That grant will also be used to increase racial and ethnic diversity among those healthcare providers and support clinical training sites. Well, county tenants rally in support of a bill to make rent more stable in the county. CASA members gathered outside of the Wayne K. Curry building in Largo last Friday. The building is pushing the county council to pass a permanent rent stabilization bill this session. Now, just last year, the council passed a bill that put a cap on rent by 3%. However, it's set to expire on April 16th.
After the temporary during COVID lapsed, we saw a huge increase. That wasn't just one apartment complex, right? So when we had the temporary rent stabilization, we had over 100 people come that were having testimonies of $100 to $800 price increases. That's why we passed the temporary rent stabilization bill. So that has been in effect, and it will stay until April. We also have an extension that we're trying to push to make sure there's no gap between our temporary legislation and the permanent. But even now during the temporary, we've been seeing a lot of complexes trying to find loopholes, say, oh, we're exempt. And so they're trying to raise people's rents.
Meantime, the council created a rent stabilization work group to help draft legislation that would make rent more stable in Prince George's. The group is expected to present its findings from a report to the council. Well, Prince George's council member Crystal Oriatha is highlighting the importance of new legislation she introduced to help county employees adjust to parenthood. The parental leave bill would amend the county's current policy so that employees would not need 1 year of employment before being able to take paid leave.
Your eligibility to take parental leave from 12 months to 3 months. So you only have to be employed 3 months instead of 12. And it also will help us be more attractive when it comes to hiring in the region. It's important for families because there's no way, if you're bringing a new life into this world, can you go without pay, right? Leave without pay is just not an option for so many families.
Oriatha is also introducing a bill that focuses on maternal health. It would ensure certain accommodations are made in all county buildings for employees and visitors who are breastfeeding.
Legislation would mandate lactation rooms in all county buildings. It'll have standards around creating different pumping equipment where the mother only has to bring some of the items, not everything. Also refrigeration, so there's storage, and then also making sure that there's some privacy in the room as well. Again, it's just trying to bring the county forward when it comes to thinking about and including mothers when it comes into the workplace.
The legislation continues efforts the council member made last year to prioritize maternal health and reproductive care, including a bill passed by the council to create a Black maternal health fund. Well, Maryland retirees receive a notice of a change in their prescription drug benefits that will take effect at the end of the year. State workers received a letter from the Department of Budget and Management last month. It says that all retirees who qualify for Medicare will no longer get state-funded prescription drug coverage. It's effective December 31st, 2024. Many retired state workers are not happy, fearing that the federal coverage will not adequately cover their drug costs. Still ahead here on CTV News, we've got your Monday sports page with Simon Buggs.
What's up, sports fans? And coming up in a bit, a recap of the UMD men's lacrosse game that took place over the weekend, and also a new dynasty takes shape in the NFL. Don't go anywhere.
The American Red Cross blood supply is at historically low levels this winter, and we're facing a dangerous situation across the country. Without the blood they need, hospitals may be forced to make tough decisions about patient care. Donors are needed now to ensure blood is available for everyone who needs it when they need it. The good news is, you can help. Make an appointment to give now. Visit redcrossblood.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS. Patients are counting on you.
Okay, everyone, are you ready? Because it's time for your Monday sports page. We begin with some Terp sports news. The UMD men's lacrosse team took the field over the weekend for their second game of the season against Loyola, and the Terps did not disappoint. The Terps got off to a hot start against the Greyhounds, jumping out to a 4-0 lead in the first quarter and never looked back, winning the game 11-4. It was a balanced effort on the offensive end, as the first 8 goals scored by the Terps came from 8 different players. The Terps played well defensively, as the 4 goals the Greyhounds scored was the fewest they have recorded since May of 2017, after scoring 18 goals last week against Georgetown. The Terps are now 2-0 on the young season and will face off next versus Syracuse on Saturday. Switching to some Maryland softball news, the Lauren Karn era has begun in College Park as the Lady Terps began their season over the weekend. The former Oakland University head coach is in her first season at the helm of the team, and CTV Sports caught up with outfielders Jada McFarland and Megan McCamey and asked them what it's been like being coached by Karn so far.
I think anytime there's a coaching change, it can be really nerve-wracking, but I think that Coach Karn and the entire new coaching staff has done a really good job of trying to make sure that we understand that they're here for us and they still want to see the program improve. So with that understanding, there are new things that we're learning about each other, but I think overall it's been going pretty well.
She's cared about us from day one. So we've been meshing really well with her joining our team. And we've had 2 additional coaches join our team as well. And just that opportunity has been really, really awesome. Just to get to know them in these next couple of months.
The Lady Terps are now 2-3 on this season and will face off next against Southeast Missouri on Friday. Moving on to the NFL, the Kansas City Chiefs are back-to-back Super Bowl champs as they took down the San Francisco 49ers last night in a close overtime battle, 25-22. And Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes, who was a Super Bowl MVP, says the culture has played a big part in Kansas City's success over the years.
It's culture, man. I got brought into this culture. Alex Smith was leading this team. They had the pieces in place, and Coach Reed was the ultimate leader. And I got brought in, and I just kind of try to exemplify that and keep pushing to be even better. And that's why in moments like this, guys come through, and it truly is special. It really is special just to be able to say we're back-to-back champs.
This is the Chiefs' 3rd Super Bowl championship in the last 5 years, and Mahomes' 3rd Super Bowl MVP. And that is your Monday sports page. Simon Buggs, CTV Sports.
Thanks, Simon. And now let's get a quick check on our 3-day weather forecast. Tonight, rain is expected throughout the evening with a low around 36. Tuesday, prepare for a wintry mix during your morning commute with temps near 47 degrees. Wednesday, mostly sunny with a high near 44. And Thursday, partly sunny, highs near 51. And that wraps up our newscast. Tomorrow, same time, same place. Have a great night.
I am so excited to play for a school I love, but I'm gonna tear my Achilles a year from now. I'll get prescribed opioid painkillers. When I run out, I'll use my friends' prescriptions. My family won't understand that I have an addiction. They'll lose what they love most. My mom will bury me with my cleats.
Opioid dependence can happen after just 5 days. Know the truth.